Will not be too long to talk about speed, velocity, and acceleration real quick. Marjay, come on up and help me. Come on, you like this awesome help me.
We on camera. Can I help?
You already started for me. If your name is not Marjay, you should not be talking right now.
I can explain the difference between speed, velocity, and acceleration.
Okay, so, what does the word explain mean? Call up somebody. You're my helper today. Right? Call up somebody. No, you did.
Right here.
James, that's how you do it. What does it mean to explain?
It means to explain by defining something in a way.
By defining something in a way. LJ, what you gonna say?
Basically,
Say that again?
to define the thing or object.
To define a thing or object. It's kind of like me talking to you guys right now. I can explain what this learning target means. We've been going over speed, motion, forces, acceleration, velocity, and I have 4 questions that we're going to go through today. 1, what is speed and what are the units we use to measure speed? What is velocity and what are the units we use to measure velocity? What is the only difference between speed and velocity? What is acceleration and what are the units we use to measure acceleration? So what is speed? And what are the units we use, Baylin? The rate that an object moves. I have up here the rate at which someone or something is able to move or operate. So we're saying the same thing. This is the formula to calculate speed. What's the D?
Distance.
I don't mind if we all shout out right now.
Distance over time.
That's not the D.
Oh, distance.
I asked for the D.
Oh,
Come on, Cam. What's the T?
time.
So how do we calculate speed?
Distance divided by time.
Distance over time, we will get speed. So we typically, if you're old enough to drive, we'll use miles per hour. But for science, what are the units that we typically use? Cam?
Miles per second.
Nah, you're jumping ahead of me right now.
Meters per second.
Jordan?
Meters per second.
Meters per second. That's what we generally use
Why
in
are you still
science.
sitting there?
Is meters per second. Velocity. What's the definition of a velocity? Maya. A given direction. What's the direction?
Oh.
Velocity.
If I'm walking this way, is that a direction?
Yes.
Which direction is that?
Backwards.
Backwards. So if I'm moving at 2 miles per hour backwards, is that speed or velocity?
Velocity.
That's velocity. So what's the biggest difference between speed and velocity? Baylin? So Baylin said that velocity is telling you what a direction you're going in. Anybody disagree with that?
No.
Wait, you said what?
Velocity tells us a direction. You agree with that, Cam?
Yeah.
Okay, velocity. And what are the units we use to measure velocity? I'm losing. I don't know how to get it back. Oh, I don't need a slide. So what are the units we use to measure velocity, Jordan?
Speed, distance, and time.
Speed, distance, and time? That's true because speed is part of velocity, right? So if we're looking at velocity and speed, there's really no big difference except a direction. So, acceleration. Who knows the formula for acceleration? RJ.
FV, IV, T. What?
Those are letters.
Final velocity.
Those are variables. But what's the formula? Jordan, help her out.
I'm pretty sure FV is final velocity. Final velocity
Okay, that's one variable.
IV is initial velocity,
That's two variables.
and T is time.
And T is, that's three variables. But what's the formula? So when I'm asking for the formula, you have to read it. You're looking at it, just read it out. A is acceleration. A equals,
Final velocity and initial velocity over time.
but what do you have to do with final velocity and initial velocity, James?
It's final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time.
Final velocity minus initial velocity divided by time. So if I hand Kareem a football and he starts out running at 10 meters per second and James tackles him in 10 seconds, James tackles him. What is his acceleration? This is a real quick, you can do this in your head. So what is his final velocity? James tackles him, so he stops.
0.
So his final velocity is 0. What's his initial velocity? I said he's 10. He started off at 10 meters per second. And it took James 10 seconds to tackle him. So what would be his Kareem's acceleration? 10? 0 minus 10 is how much?
10 divided by
0 minus 10.
Oh, 10.
Negative 10.
Negative 10. Negative 10 divided by the time of 10 seconds. So negative 10 divided by 10 is what?
1.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. So what are the units?
Negative 1.
M.
Meters per second.
Meters per second.
Second.
Per second.
second.
Time, second.
So it's negative 1 meters per second. In other words, that's also what, Balin? Meters per second per second. Meters per second squared. So his acceleration is negative 1 meters per second squared. Anybody have any questions about that? Thumbs up, you get it. Thumbs down, you don't get it. Thumb to the side, you need some help. This is class participation right now. I need a thumbs up. We need a thumbs up today because we have a test tomorrow.
That's one right.
Josiah, you thumb up? You thumbing it up? Mask up? Thumbs up? Question, what you got?
Can we write stuff in our notes now?
Can you do what?
Write stuff in our notes.
Can you write stuff in your notes?
It helps you.
I mean, I don't see why not. If it's gonna help you, why not? Anything else? I'm all done.